that's a good thing. But that was a bad day for me. I remember that very vividly. I can still get a little shiver when I think about that. But there are times, and probably you can relate to that we need to be rescued. Probably not from an alien, probably not, but maybe. But we do need to be rescued. And the Lord wants us to live our lives confidently, remembering that He is with us and that He walks with us through these valleys of shadows of death. And I think one of the things that we as Christians obviously have, we have the power of prayer that God tells us to exercise. But even in that, we sort of pray that God will do something, but then there's part of us that says, but what if He doesn't? We pray, maybe it's the father that sits in the hospital room beside his daughter who's going through chemotherapy, and she's got cancer, and he's praying, God, I know you can heal her, but what if He doesn't? Or it's the dad who's got the prodigal son that's been away for a while, and he's really gone off the deep end, he's in trouble with the law and so forth, and you pray, God, I know you can change him, I know you can put people in his life, but and he can come back home. But again, the question that haunts our hearts sometimes is, what if he doesn't? Or the young couple that's they're at the end of the month and they're going over their budget just like Dave told them to. But they look at their budget and they see that it ain't happening. It's we're going down like a rodeo clown, and it's not good. And so they pray, God, we know that you can deliver us. We know you can rescue us from this financial disaster that's about to take place in our lives, but what if He doesn't? And that's kind of the thing that haunts us sometimes and that causes us some concern. Because sometimes God doesn't. Right. God doesn't do what we ask Him to do. He doesn't follow through on what we desire, and things don't work out the way we want. And it's those times that we feel like we're walking through the valley of the shadow of death. We're feeling this heaviness on our hearts, and we have this fear in us. That's why I want us to look this morning at 3 Hebrew boys in Daniel 3 who walked through the valley of the shadow of death, and see if we can learn some things from their experience that will help us in our experience with God.
All right, good.
Daniel chapter 3. King Nebuchadnezzar has attacked and captured Jerusalem and Judah. King Nebuchadnezzar, he was the king of the Babylonians. You remember the Babylonians, the head of gold on that statue in Daniel chapter 2? That was Nebuchadnezzar. And so they've gone into Jerusalem, into Judah, and they've captured the city, and they've carried folks off, and part of their capture, part of their booty was the brightest young men in the land. And Nebuchadnezzar had this plan to bring them to his country and convert them. And really, our lives, in your life, the lives that we live, they're all about conversions. The world's trying to convert you. And you know that. Every time you watch a commercial, they're trying to convert you to their product. The philosophies that are out there, the ideas, the pressure that's always there to convert you. And so Nebuchadnezzar is trying to convert these young Hebrew boys to his philosophies, his way of life, his standards, and his thinking. It's kind of interesting that Babylon is actually the modern day Iraq. Is it Iraq or Iraq? I hear it both ways. Iraq. Okay, Iraq. But that region is what was once Babylon. And I'm told that Saddam Hussein actually studied Nebuchadnezzar and tried to imitate a lot of his stuff, a lot of his tactics and building palaces. Because I'm told that Nebuchadnezzar had a palace that was it was either 65,000 square feet or 650,000 square feet. I don't know, it was huge. But it was a huge palace, and I'm sure that Mrs. Nebuchadnezzar was wondering who was going to clean that. That's the wives' question. Who's going to clean this place? Yeah, see, you got a raise, you got a bigger house, but who's going to clean this thing up? But that's what is going on here in chapter 3. So we've got 3 Hebrew boys that have been taken from their country. Be like someone right here, be like young Tim there, being taken from Killeen, Texas, and taken over to Iraq, and with Saddam Hussein still in power, and Saddam Hussein really trying to control his life and trying to influence him. And so in chapter 3, verse 4, let me back up and say this also, that part of his plan in Daniel 3, he built this statue that was 90 feet tall. It's probably about as tall as this hotel. You go outside. We're not going to run outside and look up. But it was probably as tall as this hotel. And it was 9 feet wide, but it was made with gold. Now, it was either made of pure gold or it was covered with gold. Archaeologists or historians aren't concrete on that one. But he's got this huge statue that he sets up on the plains of Dura in the province of Babylon. And he's got a law that says, okay, whenever we play the orchestra, the national orchestra, which is full of zoots and flyers and got up the ciphers and all these kinds of things, he says everybody has to bow down and worship this statue. When you hear the music, respond with worship is his command. And so he sets aside this big day, and he calls in all the Congress and the Senator and the House of Representatives, all the folks that are in the political offices, and they gather on this plain of Dura, and the orchestra starts, and everybody bows down. It's kind of like a reverse wave. You know, in a wave, what do you do? Let's go. Come on. There we go. Oh, yeah. Come on. Let's go the wave. There you go. Okay, this is the reverse wave. Instead of bowing and getting up, you bow down, all right? Whenever the music starts, you get down on your knees, you bite the pavement there, and you worship this God that Nebuchadnezzar set up. Now, the goal of that is to bring unity to his rule, to his reign, and to get other people to buy into his system in order to have unity. And he's serious about it because he says here, let's start with verse 4. It says, the herald loudly proclaimed, this is what you are commanded to do, O peoples, nations, and men of every language. As soon as you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, pipes, and all, and by the way, those are bagpipes, I'm told, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar set up. Whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace. Therefore, as soon as they heard the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, lyre, harp, and all kinds of music, all the peoples, nations, and men of every language fell down and worshiped the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So you got the picture here. Everybody's falling down and they're worshiping. And when we read on, verse 8, at this time some astrologers came forward and denounced the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. You have issued a decree, O king, that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, the national orchestra, must fall down and worship the image of gold, and that whoever does not fall down and worship will be thrown into a blazing furnace. But there are some Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadarach, Meshach, and Abednego, who pay no attention to you, O king. They neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold you have set up. Furious with rage, Nebuchadnezzar summoned Shadarach, Meshach, and Abednego, so these were brought before the king. And so these three young men, while everybody else in the nation is bowing down, and since they're pretty prominent in the government, they're probably kind of up front. So you can just imagine thousands of people on the plain of Dura, their heads bowed, they've heard the music, their heads are bowed. Then you've got three Hebrew boys who are standing up in front. And they refuse to bow down. They stand out. It's an awkward moment, right? It's kind of like when you go out with some fellow employees at work, and you order lunch, and the food comes, and it's kind of like, okay, we need to pray here, but I don't know if I want to ask everybody to pray. Do I do the little, I've got a headache prayer, or awkward moments? You've never done that, right? Oh, you've all done that. Or I'm thinking prayer. Oh, yeah, you one of those. Yeah. Awkward moments. But these guys, and I'm sure these guys, when everybody else was bowing down, they were probably thinking, okay, I could tie my shoe, or I could do something sort of just to fit in, because it's got this strong urge, all of us do, to kind of fit in. We want to fit in. We don't want to stand out. We don't want to be standing when everybody else is bowing. And so there's this awkward moment that these guys experience. And I think, again, those awkward moments come for us when somebody starts talking about Christianity or religion, and they go down the path of, well, you don't really believe that God created the heavens and the earth. And the message behind that is, if you have faith in God, you're just stupid. You can't have faith in God and be intelligent, so you don't really believe that, though. Hey, you ever gotten that? You've gotten that probably, haven't you? Yeah. I appreciate one of the guys that Monty and I go to lunch with every week, our little discipling group. It's our little recovery group. We're recovering from pain in the past or whatever. But Tom Hedman, he's a bioengineer, and he's very talented, MIT grad and so forth. But one of the things, we talked about this Friday, one of the things he does when he does and by the way, we're going to get him to come do a presentation here. He's done presentations for the big ICLC meetings in Chicago and so forth. So he's going to do one for us in May. We're nailing him down. We're trying to get him nailed down. But he's brilliant. But he says, when I do a presentation before all these scientists and these big wigs, I always make it a point to really exalt God. I want them to understand that I have faith in God and to see that God is the reason that all this science works together. That God is the reason that we can have these kinds of discussions about science. And he's working on something that goes into your spine, that heals your spine right now. So like I said, he's brilliant, but he's a real cool, down-to-earth guy. You'll like him. Some of you have met him before. He's been here before. He came to the Christmas banquet last year. But anyway, when everybody else is bowing down and we're standing up, we get uncomfortable. We start kind of making excuses for why we should bow down, why we shouldn't stand up. We could do more good for God. If we're not dead. That's kind of our biggest argument, right? We don't want to communicate a holier than thou attitude. What if they think I'm holier than thou? Those kinds of things. Well, for these guys, we could say, it could be a bad career decision if I confront the boss about this, these accounting discrepancies here. The obvious one that we all use is everybody else is doing it, so that's why I jumped in the swimming pool, and almost drowned. If my parents asked me, hey, all your friends were jumping off a bridge, would you? And I'd have to say, yeah, because I would probably do it, because that's what happened. But I've seen in this, when you look at these three Hebrew boys, notice that a 10-minute decision can determine so many things in your destiny. Flirting at work with somebody. It turns into a lunch date, then a dinner date, and then you end up in an affair. And then the father is in the driveway with two little kids hanging onto his legs and crying because he's going to go live with this other woman. 10 minutes of decisions. A 10-minute decision here, a 10-minute decision there. And it takes you to a place you never thought it would take you, and a place you never wanted to go. But that's what's happening here. These guys have to make a decision, and they make the right decision. Of course, 10 minutes of looking at porn on the internet leads to an hour, and then 2 hours. Then you're addicted to it. Those little decisions, over and over again, lead us to places we don't want to go, that we really never wanted to go. And again, these Hebrew boys could have offered excuses about why they should bow down, but they did not. And for us, it takes courage to stand when everybody else is bowing. When everybody else around you is bowing down, it's just difficult for us to be courageous because we just want to fit in so often. In the Army, I'm sure there's all kinds of situations, with the guys going out and drinking or whatever is going on in high school, college. But all these little decisions that we make about these seemingly insignificant things determine our character ultimately. And they take us again to a place that we might not want to go. And so while these thousands of people are bowing down, these three Hebrew boys are standing tall, and you can just see God smile. I can just picture God being encouraged by their stand. Look at verse 12. He says, let me read this again. There are some Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadarach, Meshach, and Abednego, who pay no attention to you, O king. They neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold you have set up. Furious with rage, Nebuchadnezzar summoned Shadarach, Meshach, and Abednego. So these men were brought before the king. And Nebuchadnezzar said to them, is it true? Is this report true, Shadarach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the image of gold I have set up? Now, when you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, the pipes, and all kinds of music, if you are ready to fall down and worship the image I made, very good. But if you do not worship it, you will be thrown immediately into a blazing furnace. Then, this is tough. Then what God will be able to rescue you from my hand. Nebuchadnezzar makes a big, bad decision here. He challenges God to a cage fight. What God is going to be able to deliver you from my hand? He says, hey, he knows their God. Daniel's talked to him about their God before, and he's interpreted dreams. He says, what God is going to be able to deliver you? And you know that got God's attention, right? Yeah. When he says, hey, what God are you serving that can deliver you? That's his question. Mm. And like verse 3:16. Think of John 3:16, that, God so loved the world. But think of Daniel 3:16 when you need some courage. Shadarach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to save us from, and he will rescue us from your hand. But even if he does not, we want you to know, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up. So Nebuchadnezzar, the most powerful man, Saddam Hussein, the most powerful man in his country, really in the world at this time, throws down the challenge. Hey, I'm going to give you guys another chance. I understand there might be some language barriers here. You guys might not understood. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because I have given you promotions. It's not like I've been bad to you guys. You guys have come here and I've treated you like my own kids. I've raised you up and you're high in the government, all these things. And that's a little more pressure too, right? When people are treating you good, right, it's more pressure to kind of bow down to what they want to do. But he says, look, I'm going to give you another chance. Bow down to worship, or else go into the furnace. And